Hey, General Hospital fans. We have got your spoilers for the 2 weeks of June 1st through the 12th. And let me tell you, things are about to get absolutely wild in Port Charles. We're talking Ric Lansing going full legal shark mode on somebody who seriously has it coming, Sonny Corinthos landing a major blow in his revenge war, and so much more drama packed into these 2 weeks that you are going to need to sit down for this one. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we are spilling every last detail of what's coming your way in the first 2 weeks of June. But before we dive in, please click subscribe if you haven't already, because you do not want to miss a single episode of this podcast. Alright, let's get into it. Monday, June 1st kicks things off with a really intriguing scene over at Turning Woods. Jack Brennan is getting a visit from none other than Nina Reeves, and the big question hanging over this whole thing is Jack still faking that lockdown? Because if you remember where we left things, Willow snuck in and gave him a shot that was supposed to keep him incapacitated, and now we've got to wonder whether that's still in play, or whether he's been playing everyone this whole time. Nina makes it crystal clear to Brennan that she is his only way out of this situation. So right away, we're seeing the threads of this alliance between Nina and Brennan starting to tighten. Now, Cullum is Brennan's medical contact, and what I'm personally wondering is whether Nina could potentially maneuver herself into becoming Brennan's medical proxy. That would give her a much stronger position to protect him from whatever Cullum and Sidwell have planned. It's a smart play, and honestly, it would be very Nina, using the system against itself. Now, here's a fun little behind-the-scenes treat for Monday. Rocco's actor Finn Carr has a brother, Elliot Carr, and he is showing up on screen as Nurse Granover at Turning Woods. His character is going to be part of Brennan's care and is actually going to walk in on Brennan and Nina having their conversation. So keep your eyes peeled for that little family moment on screen because it's genuinely sweet. Meanwhile, Tracy and Brooklyn are working their angle on the Sidwell problem over at Deception. Tracy goes to Rick for advice on how to get Sidwell out of the company. Now, if you need a quick refresher, while Maxie was away, Deception signed a contract with Sidwell for a key ingredient they needed for their skin cream line. The problem? Sidwell has been using Deception as cover to smuggle in components for that Secret Phases project. So he is absolutely dug in, and he is not going to walk away quietly. Tracy knows this, which is why she's bringing in Ric Lansing. If anyone knows how to wage a legal war, it's Rick. This is exactly the kind of battle he lives for. Over on the Sonny side of things, and there's always a lot happening on the Sonny side of things, we've got Sonny and Laura needing Lucas's help. They want to figure out how to get Pascal to flip on Sidwell. So they invite Lucas over to Laura's place for this little sit-down, which is already fascinating because Lucas is absolutely not a Sonny fan. He makes no secret of that. And Sonny knows Lucas doesn't like him. But what's interesting here is that it sounds like Lucas is ready to set aside that animosity because they all have a common enemy. Lucas tells them that if they're going to succeed in taking Sidwell down, they're going to need him. Period. Now I am dying to know whether Lucas is going to bring up the fact that Pascal got Marco killed and that Cullum was the one who carried it out. Because if that information hits the table in Laura's living room, the temperature in that room is going to go up several degrees. Carly is getting protective on Monday as well. She is defending Lulu, and she may be having that conversation with either Dante or Valentine. And speaking of Dante and Lulu, Carly asks Lulu directly, does she think Dante actually feels something for her, or is it more complicated than that? Is it affection, or just annoyance wrapped in proximity? Because those two things can look very similar when there's history involved. Also on Monday, and this one is going to raise everyone's blood pressure, Pascal threatens Jocelyn. I cannot imagine that is going to go over well for anyone, least of all Pascal, because between Sonny, Carly, and frankly just the sheer force of Jocelyn's personality, that man has picked the wrong target. And then we've got Liz up at the PCPD having a conversation with Dante. She's listening as he opens up, and based on the context, it's pretty clear that what's weighing on Dante is Rocco being out there with Britt and his very real fear that his son is in danger from Cullum. And then new Detective Joe Fitzpatrick comes in, and Dante immediately asks him if there's any update on Rocco. So the Britt and Rocco storyline is very much still ticking away in the background, and I think we're going to be getting some movement on that soon. Tuesday, June 2nd, Nina makes her loyalties crystal clear, and this is really the core of where Nina is right now as a character. She wants to help Brennan. She is genuinely invested in protecting him, but at the end of the day, her number one priority is Willow, and keeping her out of the crosshairs for everything she has done to Drew. Nina is walking a very narrow tightrope here between protecting Brennan and shielding Willow, and the longer this goes on, the harder it's going to be to keep her balance on that rope. Michael is making his move on Tuesday, and what he is doing is essentially playing Willow, nudging her toward Chase. Now, the reason for that is pretty calculated and honestly pretty cold when you think about it. Michael is working this whole plan to expose Brooklyn, and part of that plan involves pushing Willow and Chase together so that he can set his trap and reveal Brooklyn's role in the Jordan crash. It's a chess move, not a romantic gesture. Michael is thinking several steps ahead here. Elizabeth makes a confession on Tuesday, and the big question is, to whom? It could be Dante, or it could be her boyfriend Ric. And I want to point something out that some of you may have caught. When Liz was talking about how great Dante is, Ric was visibly getting a little bothered by that. There is just the tiniest hint of jealousy there, and I think that is going to become a thread that gets pulled further as we move through June. Cullum delivers some bad news on Tuesday. He could be going up to Turning Woods to torment Brennan directly, or he might be communicating to Sidwell that Britt is going to be eliminated regardless of where things stand with the prototype. That would be a devastating development. And Sidwell gets taken by surprise by something. It could be Sonny's plotting starting to bear fruit, or it could be the Tracy and Ric legal maneuver against deception starting to show teeth. Either way, Sidwell is not used to being caught off guard, so this should be very satisfying to watch. Wednesday, June 3rd brings us something that has been set up for a while now. Chase and Willow run into each other over at the Coeur d'Alene boathouse. And what happens when they do is definitely going to fuel the rumor mill. Chase ends up grabbing Willow's arms. They are in very close physical proximity. Willow looks shaken. Now, in context, Willow is under enormous stress right now. Brooklyn is hanging the threat of exposure over her head like a sword, and everything is starting to close in on her. So, whatever happens at the boathouse, it is happening against the backdrop of Willow being a woman on the edge. And here is where it gets really juicy. Tracy may be the one who witnesses this encounter between Chase and Willow. Tracy is not happy with what she sees on Wednesday. Now think about the layers here. Tracy knows Brooklyn's secret about the car. She's got her own investment in how this all plays out. And now she's watching her stepson get physically close with the woman he used to love, who also happens to be in the middle of this whole mess. Tracy's reaction is going to be interesting to say the least.